So hello and welcome to today's video. So video game adaptations and movies, they're usually very hit and miss. They're either excellent or complete garbage. The same also applies to movie adaptations of games. But in 2005, Rockstar Games tried their hand at making a video game adaptation of the cult classic movie The Warriors, which in turn was a movie adaptation of the cult classic book. Now thankfully, Rockstar's attempt at The Warriors was an overwhelming success, amassing critical acclaim and winning multiple awards for it. Now, unlike today where Rockstar seemingly don't know how to make new sequels, in 2006 Rockstar were already planning a sequel to The Warriors for the PlayStation 2. But before development of this even got underway, there's already two major problems that came about. First of all was The Warriors itself, because it was a licensed brand, and because of how successful the first Warriors was, it probably would cost an even larger sum to license this time. Now the second problem was, there was no real sequel to go off. So Rockstar would have to come up with their own completely original story, which in all fairness isn't that big of a problem as Rockstar were and are still known for their fantastic storytelling. But unlike GTA, Bully or Manhunt where Rockstar have complete control over what happens, they would have to stick pretty closely to Soul Eurek style in order to avoid drifting too far from the Warriors theme. So upon deciding they didn't really want to pay for a new license to use the Warriors branding, Rockstar wanted to take this Warriors project and instead turn it into something else. Something that wasn't tied to the Warriors branding enough to warrant paying a license for, nor would it affect the Warriors universe, but close enough so people could tell it was very heavily based off the Warriors, a bit like how GTA Vice City had giant Scarface tributes. So after coming up with ideas, Rockstar had their perfect Warriors sequel set in mind. Set in 1960s Britain and set during the real life events during the Mods vs Rockers era. The game Rockstar planned was now going to be known as We Are the Mods. Now for those unaware, Mods and Rockers are basically like the Greasers and Preps from Bully, as Rockers wore leather jackets, they loved motorcycling and loved 1950s rock and roll. Basically British versions of Greasers, while the Mods were the polar opposite. They wore suits, they had posh hairstyles, listened to bands like The Who and drove mopeds. Now during this time there were a lot of fights and conflicts between the two groups. One example I can give is from Wikipedia, as one of the most popular incidents is referred to as the Second Battle of Hastings, where fights and conflicts took place at Clacton and Hastings during the Easter weekend of 1964. Round 2 of these fights took place on the south coast of England at the Whitsun weekend, especially at Brighton Beach, where the fights lasted over 2 days and moved along the coast of Hastings and back, hence the name the Second Battle of Hastings. A small number of Rockers were isolated on Brighton Beach, where they were overwhelmed and assaulted by Mods. Eventually calm was restored to Brighton town and the judge levied heavy fines for many involved, often describing those arrested as sawdust Caesars. Now the reason why I mention that is because there was nothing official about the story Rockstar had planned. But going off the Battle of Hastings incident, I think that gives us a good enough idea to a possible basic plot. Plus the title of We Are the Mods implies we'd probably be taking the role of the Mods in this, and the Rockers would be our antagonists. Now being set in 1960s Britain means this would have marked Rockstar's second visit to the United Kingdom, and seeing as Rockstar were trying out close quarter combat with games like The Warriors and Bully, I think the UK was a good choice of setting for this kind of stuff. Now development of this was already a bit messy, as Rockstar Toronto were told to move all the work done on We Are the Mods to the Xbox 360, and possibly start utilising their new Rockstar Advanced gaming engine, and completely cancel the PlayStation 2 version, as at this point the Xbox 360 was a fresh new release. Now, We Are the Mods was never officially announced, and the only reason any of this is known is actually because the developer who leaked this information in 2011 alongside some assets. Now interestingly, the developer who leaked this worked on No More Room in Hell. Now, there wasn't anything exciting that was leaked like footage, it was just basic assets like 1960s cars, bench, just basic props. But the weirdest one here is the rifle. As many of you know, gun laws in the UK are rather strict. But doing some research I found out that rifles were somewhat legal in 1960s Britain. It was only with the passing of the Firearms Act in 1968 where gun laws became tighter, and 1997 when it basically became illegal. Prior to that, it was completely legal to own any non-fully automatic gun. Anything that was fully automatic or fired missiles was completely banned. Now I guess this also explains why Rockstar Games made GTA London take place in the 1960s rather than modern day. But I just wanted to include that because it shows Rockstar did their homework on British gun laws and wanted to make it as authentic as possible to the time period, and why we have a reason why guns are seen in Britain. And because the fact the rifle was here probably implies there was going to be some gun violence going on. Of course we don't know if that means it was going to be like GTA, but considering as a Warriors sequel it was probably going to be maybe for 1 or 2 missions. So the cancellation. Now the game sadly didn't have too much work done on it outside of the setting and some assets, although I would assume that some storyboards and character concepts were done, but of course these have never been leaked, at least as of making this. But sometime in 2006, We Are The Mods was cancelled, and Rockstar Toronto, who made the first Warriors, were instead relegated to be nothing more than a support studio for all the other Rockstar projects. The Warriors was Rockstar Toronto's first and only game ever made, before they helped out on just basically porting already made games to other platforms like Bully Scholarship Edition to Xbox 360, Grand Theft Auto 4 to PC, and Max Payne 3 to PC. Now, Rockstar Toronto were told to go to work on Manhunt 2, and that was it really. That's the end of We Are The Mods. It's incredibly lackluster, but we actually do have one last thing that remains, and it's completely official, this one is, and it only exists in Grand Theft Auto Online. You see, in the Bikers updates, there's a very interesting decal which you can stick on your clubhouse wall, which is a Union Jack with the words We Are The Mods scrawled all over it. That is the only thing that is left from We Are The Mods, and probably the closest thing we'll ever get from it officially. Now, there is actually a second Warriors game out there, but it's not made by Rockstar Games at all. It's called The Warriors Street Brawl and was available on PC, Xbox 360 and Apple macOS. But as said, this wasn't made by Rockstar, it was made by a studio called CXTM, who I couldn't find any info about at all. And the game has actually since been delisted from Xbox Live Arcade, and I can't find any download links to it on PC or Mac either. So yeah, this is quite a rare game to find, but according to the reviews, it's quite mediocre. Now, the reason why I didn't mention this much is because this video was mostly dedicated to Rockstar Games' version of the Warriors, you know, not any other official adaptations of it. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Warriors cancelled sequel. I know it's not exactly informative, but this is all I could find from all the research I did. But if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more retrospective looks at Rockstar Games, old, new, cancelled and everything in between. So thank you for watching and have a great day.